right. My name is Chef Brian Wyatt Jr., and I'm from the south side of Chicago, Illinois.
Switch it up.
I'm E. Marie, founder of E. Marie Enterprises and the Salted Stage, part of our dinner and show series. We're here today at Halisi Africa, one of my favorite cultural spaces in Tallahassee, and the future home of the Salted Stage starting in October. But at first, we are thrilled to introduce you to someone very special, Chef Brian Wyatt Jr. Chef Brian is the featured chef for our upcoming event, the Salted Stage. Not just dinner, but an experience. We're here blending storytelling, music, food, and performances. Each course will be paired with a story, a sound, or a moment, something that stirs your spirit, not just your taste buds. And with only 50 seats available, it's an intimate, curated evening that's going to feel like nothing else happening in the city. Let's sit down and talk with Chef Brian and what inspires his cooking and what you can look forward to at the Salted Stage.
Hi, my name is Chef Brian Wyatt Jr., and I'm from the south side of Chicago, Illinois. I come from a very large family, and every time we would get together, there was always food. And there was a dozen people in the kitchen helping prepare it. I'm talking to my aunts, my cousins, grandmas, my mom. And they used to have a really good time. They used to dance and talk in there. And I associate food because of that with love. For every major holiday, food was at the center of the entire gathering. There would be a dozen people cooking in the kitchen and serving and making sure that everyone was taken care of. And food has become a love language for me. What inspired me to start cooking was actually my great-grandmother, Bernice. She used to work for a German caterer in downtown Chicago, and I used to go and clean her apartment maybe once Saturday a month and earn some extra cash while I was in high school. While I was there, she would make me something delicious to eat, whether it was a BLT, biscuits and gravy, and I used to peek around the corner to kind of see what she was doing and maybe pick up a few things so I could be one of the people in the kitchen. So there's one thing that my great-grandmother used to make that I will never forget. To this day, I call it dim biscuits. And I'm not entirely sure how to make them right now because she used ingredients that are no longer sold in stores. But I remember taking that to college with me, and I used that recipe to make dinner rolls for a house party that I hosted. And people called it dim biscuits because they kept coming back saying, "Brian, when are you going to make dim biscuits again?" And that became the name that just stuck with me and stuck with that particular dish. And that's how I got introduced into the SORF board, is what they call it, Student Organization Resource Fund. I became the president of that board, and that board, that entire organization, funded all organization on campus. So people wanted to know me and know who I was, and try to influence me so they can get grant funding for their events and activities. Yeah. And that also gave me an opportunity to kind of promote and market my catering business because I knew what was going on. I knew who to pitch to. And yeah, that's how that pretty much kickstarted my career in culinary arts. So Soul Star Select became the premier catering student organization for Black Greek letter organizations at the University of Illinois at Urbana at that time. And every Black Greek organization that would have a party or event that they needed catered, they would call me and reach out to me, and me and my team, we would prepare the food for them. I actually still have photos for that too, so I can share those with you. Yeah, I have some throwbacks. Yeah. So where I'm from in Chicago, the streets run north, south, east, west. It's pretty simple. And if you just follow one street for a long stretch, you'll come across multiple different restaurants from various backgrounds and cultures. So there's a lot of diversity, there's a lot of robust flavors, and they all come bold with the kick. And so that influences my style of cooking. I want to make sure that I fuse a lot of the international styles of food and culinary and flavors. The dish that I'm most excited about creating is the Yardbird Jubilee. Now, you've had fried chicken, and I've made fried chicken before, but you haven't had it like this. And this will be an exciting challenge for me, but also an opportunity for me to fully express my creativity with doing something different with. Did some research on the roots of soul food. I started with that because soul food is something that I was kind of surprised and curious about how it made its way to Chicago. Now, I knew that a lot of slaves, once they were recently freed, or even prior to that, would make their way north and they would take some of the things with them. But I was curious about my ancestry and where that came from. And I actually found out my great-grandmother is from Mississippi. I knew my great-grandfather is from Texas, but Mississippi makes a lot of sense because a lot of the types of food that we would eat as a child has roots down there in the Delta. Delta influenced cuisine is the reason it inspired a lot of things that I do. So for example, we put vinegar in our greens. And a lot of people don't do that. It's just like smoked meat, it's like pot liquor. But some people put vinegar in their greens, some people put sugar in their greens, but it's all based off of West and East African roots for here, for example, at Halisi, they serve gome, which is Ethiopian. It's more of a savory collard green, but West Africa, it's sweeter. So I don't know, it's really interesting, you know what I mean? So I got more and more curious and I kind of tapped into my education and background in political science and history. And I don't know, I went down the rabbit hole and that inspired a lot of the dishes on the menu that I created.
My name is Bryant Shaw. I am the co-owner and general manager at Halisi Africa here in Railroad Square. We originally started in 2019 as a boutique. I was actually living in East Africa at the time in Tanzania, and I was sending things back from the motherland to Tallahassee to my mom in general, just sharing the culture and talking about, oh man, I saw this, here you go, I bought it for you. And she ended up with so many things that we decided, let's start a small boutique. The narrative, the sort of false narrative that a lot of us are fed growing up, that Africa is poor, there's nothing there, there's nobody producing, there's no food, people are hungry, all these negative things that you hear about Africa. We wanted to address that and sort of write our own narrative, as the saying, Kuji Chagulia, self-determination, right? We wanted to take that and say, you know what, we believe fully that we deserve to write our own narratives to show people in America and around the world what Africa has to offer as best as we can, and especially from the perspective of an African American having gone there. I could say, wow, these things are all available. You know what I mean? Don't get it twisted and think, oh, there's no nice hotels or houses, mansions, things that you can do, clubs, bars. There's a lot of opportunity there, and we really wanted to show that. So that was kind of the start off of our mission, the addressing the narrative, and it's just expanded more and more into building community within our space while we're here in America.
I'm always excited about new challenges. So yes, it will be a challenge to come up with new ideas and new dishes for each of the Salted Stage events. But I think the fun in that is the complexity in our ancestry and background, is that we didn't all just come from one place. Africa is a continent, not a country. There are many different countries in Africa. So there are a lot of places to draw inspiration from Africa to the Caribbean, even to, our connections to other countries, whether it's in nationalities like Native American, because there's a lot of Native American influence in Black cuisine as well. For example, the Gullah Geechee culture was influenced by Native Americans, and that's where we get shrimp and grits. And we have shrimp and grits on the menu as well. So I'm gonna put an interesting twist on that.